Okay, so let's look at Project 5 then. The file for Project 5 is here, and when we open it up, you'll see that it looks like this file here. And what we're asked to do is we're asked to do three things. First thing is that we're going to use the spreadsheet to evaluate your options for buying a $10,000 car, assuming 3 years, 2 years, 4 years, and 6 years. So different interest rates and different years. We're going to use the PMT function for this, and we're going to also use a data table. Okay, so let's see how this is going to work. First thing we have to do is we have to put in the monthly payments here. So the monthly payment for the first one we'll use the PMT function, and the PMT function will look like this. Okay, we'll put it right in here, and we'll go up here and we'll put it in. Okay, so what this PMT function is saying, it's saying take D8, which in this case is the interest rate, and take C8, which is the number of years, is 3, but because we want a monthly payment we have to multiply that by 12, and then we want to also include B8, which is the amount. So you notice here that there is no formulas. They're all separated by commas. The only time we see a mathematical symbol is in order to convert C8 to months instead of leaving it as years. So that's the way the payment formula works. You have to put in your interest rate, and you have to put in your term, which is the number of months in our case, and then you have to put in the principal, and all three of these are just separated by commas. So we'll put that in, and you see that we get $277.78. The reason why it's has brackets around it is because it's money going out. It's a negative amount. It's a payment, which signifies, of course, money going out. So all we need to do is to copy and paste this all the way down, and all the rest of them should be the same. Okay, so there's all of the monthly payments calculated. Now what we have to do is we have to calculate total payments, and the total payments are you're going to make 36 of these. In the first case, 3 years of payments, and this formula will look like this. So we'll have C8, which is our 3 years multiplied by 12. There's your 36 payments, and that is multiplied by E8, which is the amount of the payment. In this case it's $277.78. So we'll enter that, and we'll see that if you borrow $10,000 at 0% interest, you're going to be paying back $10,000 exactly over the term of the loan. And so this is the correct answer for the first one, but we'll have to copy and paste that down to see what we get for the next three. Okay, so for the next three we get 12,000, 26, and 43, and you can see that these amounts are higher than 10,000. That's because in the second, third, and fourth there is an interest rate, and the extra money that's being paid back, of course, is paid back because you're being charged a fee on top of the borrowing the $10,000, and that's what we call an interest on the money. Okay, so we wanted to figure out here what the total interest paid was. We know, for example, that it is going to be nothing in the first case, but we still have to put in a formula for that. And the formula that we're going to put in is in here. We're going to take the $10,000, which is a positive amount. We're going to add it to the $10,000 that was paid back, which is a negative amount. And so if we add these two together, B8 and F8, we should end up with nothing, and that works fine for the first one. So we copy that and paste it all the way down. We will see that we'll get different amounts down here, of course. And there's the 2674, the 16, and the 33. These represent the total interest paid for the various terms at those interest rates. So what this does then is it answers, if you're looking at them as questions, it really answers 4 questions. We only did 4 calculations based on these years using these rates. But what we have down here is we have a data table, and if we look at each one of these cells, you can consider each one of these an answer. So if we quickly look at the table, we'll see that it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 7 columns and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows. So 7 times 5, if we fill in this table, will give us 35 answers. And so we're going to have the data table set up this way. Okay. So in order to do that, then we're going to first of all have to put a formula in down here, and this little block here represents the information that this table needs in order to function. So if we do a formula over here, then we're telling this table to substitute the numbers into this formula and give us all the answers. So for example, it starts off as 3 and 0%. If you want to use 6 for a substitution, you can say 6 and 6% to get this answer. So the 6 will go in here, and the 6% will go in here, and the answer won't show up here, but it will show up over in this cell here. Okay, so let's see how this is going to work. So the first thing that we need to do then is we need to put a payment formula in, and we're going to put that formula in here. So this payment formula will look like this. It will say, give me the payment for B19, which is our rate, B18 multiplied by 12, and B17, which is the principal. So if we put that in, we'll see that we get 277.78, which is the same answer we got up there. Okay, so how do we connect this little formula here to this table? What we have to do in this case is we have to connect the 2 points, this cell here and this cell here. Okay, so here we are back again. We're talking about connecting these 2 cells, and in order to do that, it's very simple. We just say that we want the formula to show up in this cell, so we just put an equal, and we put in let's see now. Back here for a minute. Yeah. So we say equal sign and then B20. So we just say equals B20, which is this cell here, so B20 is now connected. So what we have to do is we have to highlight this whole table, and we have to go through the data table function. So we'll do that now. We highlight the whole table. We go up to data table. Okay, so data table is found under what if. We go to data table. It asks us for the row input cell, and the row input cell is B19, and the column input cell is B18. Now if you're wondering where we got B18 and 19, you look over here in the example formula, and you can see that the years represent B18, in this case it's 3, and the rate represents B19, in this case 0%. So these numbers 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are going to be substituted in B18, and then the percentages 0 through 6 are going to be substituted in B19, and then the table will calculate and fill in with numbers. So when we say OK, there's the numbers. And what these numbers represent, for example, if we take 5 years at 1.99%, will give us a monthly payment of $286.98. If we want to check what we have here in the table, say 3 at 0%, here's 3, and here's the 0%, and it's exactly $277.78. So what this gives us then, this gives us answers to 35 questions as opposed to the answers for 4 questions. So you have much more information by using the data table as we would have had by using the individual formulas. So in a short period of time then we're able to do quite a bit of work and answer 35 questions. Okay, so that's it for part 1. And part 2, we see that we're going to be performing a break-even analysis. Let's go to that worksheet now and see what that one looks like. So here's the list of numbers that we're going to be using to calculate the break-even. And you see here that in break-even we have fixed costs and we have variable costs. And we have contribution margin and break-even point down here at the bottom. So what we're going to do is we're going to work over on this side first, and then we're going to fill in the data tables in a minute. So the first thing that we have to do then is add up all of our fixed costs. And so in order to do that, we're going to put in a formula, and the formula is going to be a sum. So we're going to type in sum, open the bracket, click up here and drag down to from B7 to B12, close the bracket, press enter, and we get the sum of these numbers. So we're going to do the same with this here. We're going to put in a sum formula, open the bracket, click and drag down to 18, row 18, close the bracket, press enter, and we get 21. So what 21 is the 21 is the variable cost per unit, which means that it's costing us $21 to make every unit. We're selling these units for $100 each. So we can quickly see that if it costs us $21 and we're selling them for $100, then if we were to calculate the difference would be our contribution margin, meaning this is how much we're contributing to profit. So let's put a small formula in here, and we'll see that if we take 100, so equals B4, subtract B19, we'll see that we get $79. So $79 contributed to our profit. Our break-even point is going to be calculated by how long is it going to take us to pay back these fixed costs. You can see here a fixed cost is $1,251,000. So if you're making $79 on every item, how many do you have to sell in order to cover off $1,251,000? So basically, it's a division that we're going to be doing. So we take our equal sign and we say equals B13, and we're going to divide B13 by B21, and that will give us 15,835. So when we hit 15,835, we would have broken even, and so anything past this will give us a profit. So what we want to find out over here in the data table is, what if some of these numbers change? So what if labor is not 15? What if it's 12? What if it's 13? What if it's 17? So we're going to use those numbers. And we can also say, what if the insurance costs weren't $99,700? What if they're $90,000? Or what if they're $110,000? So in this space here, what we're going to see is the answers to all of these questions, and we are going to do that now. But the first thing we have to do is fill in this cell so that it's connected to B22 down here. So in order to do that, we just have to say equals B22, and that connects it here. And then we have to highlight the table, and when we highlight the table, which we're going to do now, we're going to the what if, find the data table, and the row input cell is going to be B12, and the column input cell is going to be B16, and we're going to say OK, and that is the answers to all the questions. So if our labor was $17 and our insurance was $90,000, then we would have to sell $16,121 in order to break even. If our insurance cost was $100,000 and our labor was, say, $14, we would have to sell $15,641. So instead of using insurance, which we did up here, what if we use the sales price? And so the sales price we know is $100 now, but what if it was $200? What if it was $175, $150, $125, and we changed our labor rates from $12 to $17? So more questions down here. So just as before, we start off and we say equal B22, and then we highlight the table and highlight the table and issue the command data table. The row input cell is B4, and the column input cell is B16, and we say OK, and here you see we get the answers to some more questions. So if you changed your selling price to, say, $175 and your labor went up to 16, you'd have to sell 8,176 in order to break even. So that gives us much more information. Using the data that we already have, we can produce answers to possible questions or questions that may be asked at any time. Okay, so let's have a look then at number 3, part 3 of this assignment. In part 3 you see that we're kind of back in familiar territory here. We've used the solver before, but in this example we're going to be doing it for hot spring spas, and let's have a look at that now. So here's our worksheet for part 3. And in the worksheet then we see that we have some numbers already filled in, and the ones that I've highlighted in yellow are ones that we're going to have to include in our formula, and they're very important to the overall formula. Okay, so we'll start this one off by going to our data ribbon and clicking on solver. And you see the first thing solver wants is some answers to some questions. So our objective here, they want us to set our objective, and our objective is going to be to maximize our total profit in D7. So we click on D7 and it shows up in the box here. We click on max to give us our max profit, and then we enter the by changing variable cells. And our variable cells are going to be the number of types of spas that we sell. One is called the Steamboat, one is called the Classic, and so what we do here is we fill in C4 to D4, and then we go down here and put in the constraints. Now the constraints are that we have to be less than or equal to what's available as far as parts go, because as we make these spas we make them out of parts, and then we can only make so many depending on the parts that we have available. What we don't know is how many we can make, and that's what's going to show up here in row 4. So our constraints are, and it's easier to point, so our constraints are going to be, we'll click on add a constraint, and our cell reference, which is where we'll click C15 and we'll drag down to C17, and that has to be less than or equal to. And then our constraint, again we'll click on D15 and drag down to D17, and then we'll just say okay. So see, our constraint is now in this box here, and there's nothing else we have to change. All we have to do is click on solve, and solve comes back and gives us an answer, and we just say okay, and you see that we get 106 and 95. And down here you'll see that we didn't go over on labor, we didn't go over on piping, and we're actually under on the number of pumps. And we can go up here and we can see the individual amounts, and you can see how precise they are. It's not exactly 106, and over here it's not exactly 95, but because the numbers were rounded we get 106 and 95. So part 3 is relatively short, and that's exactly what we have as far as completed assignment goes. So before you leave this workbook, just check each sheet, make sure you got everything filled in. If you want to put your name on the front page of this one, you can just type your name in anywhere at all. And then remember to save it, do a file save as, and when it comes up and asks you for a name, you can save it with your first initial last name, and it's project 5, so first initial last name project 5, and just click on save, and then upload that file into Moodle, and project 5 will be complete.